What up? This is Little Music Boxes. My name is Travis. And right now we're listening to a little jam on my modular synth, which is inspired by and utilizing this little module here called the Kompas, designed by Bastl, made by me. See, this is a DIY project. So during this video, you're going to get some shots of the performance, and you're also going to get a lot of shots of the build. This is a synth build, so enjoy it. This is a sequence generator based on probabilities. The more you tweak this knob, the more likely that instrument, the first one being the drum, the second two I hooked up to different alternating snares. So what we have here is every time you tweak a knob, a new pattern is generated, a new direction based on probability of, the inputs, which is the knob you twisted. One of the coolest things that came along with the DIY kit from Bastl to make the Kompas was this. This is a zine. We used to make these when I was a teenager, type them up on my mom's typewriter, Xerox them at school, drop them off at punk rock record stores and stuff. I read one article last night and then I said, oh my gosh, I have to make a beat that's inspired by this and works around this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read this article to you right now. And that's the premise, that's the voiceover, that's the whole theory. I usually try to put a lot of meaning into my beats, and this one I just want you to listen. So here we go. Navigating Music, Navigating Life by Vaclav Polasek. It does not seem to get any easier to make music. It does not seem to get any easier to live life. I have made many interfaces and instruments to help me make the music that I hear in my head, and sure, yes, I have to say I'm partly succeeding, but it does not become easier. The music does not happen on its own. It still requires a lot of sweat and heart. How do you navigate painlessly from point A to point B in music and in life? You use tools and you try to figure out the road beforehand, but plans never seem to be working, at least in my life. Everything seems a bit messy, and the further I go, the more I have to improvise. I used to make a wish to go back in time to make different decisions along the way, but it would probably miss the point of living real life if you could do that. I think making music has a lot to do with life itself. My father-in-law says, life is one of the hardest. I really love that. Life is one of the hardest. There is no undo in life. Electronic music might seem easier nowadays because you can actually have this safety net of making music. Using your undo, you can strategize and make some backup plans. But should you? Should we ever want that from music making? Why shouldn't we then design our live sets in a way that reflects real life? Would it be more fun to watch like a reality show where you go to see the movie and you see the characters struggle and fail, struggle and succeed? Why should watching somebody perform music only be about experiencing success? On a computer, any editing software has an undo feature, but it is not always like that. With the invention of an undo, the lack of such a feature became known as destructive editing. Virtual lives have an undo, but is real life destructive living? Shouldn't real music also be destructive? All right, I'm gonna skip a little bit because we're getting a little long in the tooth. Okay. People of my generation have found themselves in a funny position. As kids, we might have dreamed of building better worlds, but now it seems that the best we could achieve in our lifetime is to build an airbag before the inevitable collapse of our ecosystem. Before we might also try to reduce the speed before the crash, but to crash is coming, and it is going to hurt. It already hurts a lot if you realize what happened to the biosphere in the last 40 years. The animals and the bugs that we used to encounter as kids are not here anymore. The same thing happened to our childhood dreams. Most of them are gone. Now we need to navigate from point A to point B, and we know that point B is going to be even more painful. In such a context, how should our generation make music and design musical instruments? Here in Europe, we became obsessed with planning the future so that we wouldn't fail. But we based our future readings on false promises of infinite growth, and now we know we have failed, and we will need to bear the consequence. We'll have to cope with our losses and improvise and move on as a society. And it seems that these abilities are not natural for us anymore. Maybe, if music is analogous to life, maybe we can practice these skills through music, and therefore, the design of our instruments might embrace such strategies. Maybe we need to be outside of our comfort zones, out there in the danger of failing and learning from our failures. And then here in the bottom, a few sentences in a slightly larger type, in a different font. It says, we must know the right time to forget, as well as the right time to remember, and instinctively see when it is necessary to feel historically and when unhistorically. And that's signed FN. That's the Kompas Bastl Zine. Wow.